Yeah. So what are the challenges of open source Kafka, right? So when you try to set up a Kafka for say a development or a test kind of environment, it's much easier to raise your hand and say, yeah, I can get it up and running in 2 or 3 hours, right? But when you try to set it up for production scale, that's where it becomes really difficult to set up. It is hard to achieve high availability. It is error prone and really complex to manage. Tricky to scale as well. It's not very easy. Let's say you start with a 6 broker cluster. It's not very easy to add another 9, 10, 20 brokers. It does take a lot of time to scale. And there are some additional logistics involved as well on how you repartition your data across your broker. So there's a lot of additional configuration logistics involved when you try to scale the clusters on your own. Integration requires development. So Kafka or a data streaming platform in itself really doesn't stand alone. It usually interacts with either your data lake kind of setup, or if you have a data warehousing or a lakehouse kind of story. So it does interact with additional tool sets within your big data ecosystem. If you are self-managing Kafka on-prem or even on EC2, you would still need to build some of those integrations on your own, which does take away a lot of your development time. And you need to essentially maintain, scale, ensure all of these connectors or integrations are highly available, they're secure. You need to manage all of these additional logistics on your own, and it's expensive to maintain. You do end up spending a lot of engineering bandwidth managing those Kafka clusters on your own. So these are some of the challenges that we heard from our customers when we talk to them, when they're managing their own Kafka clusters, either on-prem or even on EC2. There are still a lot of challenges. Even when you are on-prem, of course, you have to do almost all of the administrative infrastructure ad hoc activities on your own. Even when it comes to EC2, you will, though you will get some advantages from a OS patching standpoint and maintenance of the underlying hardware, you will still need to spend a lot of bandwidth on managing the Kafka versions, upgrades, OS patching on your own. Can you move to the next slide, Sri? So why do we need managed services for Kafka? I think we did talk about the traditional Kafka challenges, how difficult it is to set up in the earlier slide. This is where Amazon Managed Streaming for Apache Kafka service helps. It is a fully managed, highly available, secure service that we have for Apache Kafka. What we do as part of this service is we offer the open versions of Apache Kafka as a managed service for you to consume. As part of the service, we provision brokers and attach storage to those brokers. There's a EC2 instance. There's a class of EC2 class of machines that we make available as brokers, and there's GP2 EBS volumes that are attached as storage to the brokers. So essentially, the service offers you open, fully managed open versions of Apache Kafka, and what the service essentially does is it makes Apache Kafka more accessible for your organization. Say, when we talked about setting the Kafka clusters on your own, there are a lot of cycles that you need to go through in terms of planning of the number of brokers that you're going to need to address your requirements. Sometimes it may take, we've worked with customers where it takes weeks, it takes months. But it's much more, when we say Apache managed streaming for Apache Kafka service makes Apache Kafka more accessible for you, is what it essentially means is you can spin up a cluster within a matter of minutes, and you can shut down the cluster in the next, say, 3 or 4 hours. It's completely on demand. You can spin up a cluster within minutes. You can tear down a cluster with a predefined set of number of brokers. So that's the kind of accessibility that you can expect from the service, as opposed to when you are, self-managing your Kafka, you spin up a 8 broker cluster, and then you realize, hey, I really don't need 8 brokers. My requirements need me to have 18 to 20 brokers. So when you do it on your own on-prem, there's a lot of server movement that you need to do to get this kind of agility. But with managed streaming for Apache Kafka, this is available off the shelf. You can spin up the service anytime. You can tear down the clusters, spin up new clusters within a matter of minutes. So that's the kind of accessibility that you get from managed streaming for Apache Kafka. We are fully compatible. The service managed streaming for Apache Kafka service from AWS is fully compatible with the open source tool sets that are available in the market as of today. So if you're using, say KSQL, KStreams, or any third-party connectors for your in your existing Kafka ecosystem, the service is fully compatible. What that means for our customers is it's a lift and shift approach. It's a lift and shift migration for most of our customers. Essentially, all you have to do is repoint your producers and consumers to the managed Kafka service. And even if you have an existing tool sets that are compatible with the open versions of Kafka, our service works with that tool set as is. It's just that you need to manage those tool sets on your own as of today. When you use, again, we did talk about one of the challenges that we talked about in the earlier slide was around building integrations on your own. With managed streaming for Apache Kafka, we give you these integrations by, as part of the service. We, as of today, managed streaming for Apache Kafka integrates very closely with Lambda. We did announce about a few months back, we did announce integration with KDA for Apache Flink service. You can use that for processing your real-time streaming data off of your Kafka clusters. We announced, we announced integration with database migration service. This was announced about 6 to 8 months back. So if you have a change data capture kind of use case, you can use MSK along with DMS. Again, it gives you an end-to-end fully managed layer where you're capturing your change data and then you're passing it on to your big data ecosystem or any applications that you have who want to react in real time to your incoming data. So you can do that with DMS, essentially your CDC kind of use cases. We do have additional detail level integrations in terms of ACM that you can use with MSK. We do have, so we recently introduced SASL Scram integration for MSK. So you can use username passwords to authenticate within MSK. And we've also, with that, we also announced that is integrated with AWS Secrets Manager. So you can rotate your username and password. So that's the kind of deep native API, AWS API native rich integrations that you get with the MSK service. What the whole service essentially means is, your developers can spend more time developing applications that have a business impact, as opposed to managing the infrastructure administrative activities that are needed when you're self-managing Kafka. With that, I will hand it over to Sri to take on the next slide.
So I'm just going to give a quick introduction about us and HashedIn, right? And HashedIn, we are an AWS advanced consulting partner with data and analytics competency. We've done, over the years, and our core is essentially product development on cloud, AWS specifically. So we build cloud native products for our customers. Data and Kafka happens to be a big component of the work that we do. And so we've got a lot of experience with our customers building big data products, especially around Kafka. I'm just going to cover a little bit about how a partner like HashedIn can complement the core of what AWS MSK offers, right? Amazon MSK offers, right? So a few areas that I would want to just touch base on is, the first one is, Kafka connectors. Kafka on its own, unless you bring in data into Kafka and then do some processing on top of it, Kafka, in the core Kafka technology to do that, to bring data inside Kafka is Kafka Connect. And, Kafka Connect has several connectors. So you call them as sync connectors and source connectors. So sync connectors import data from several systems. So it could, and then source destination connectors would sort of sync connectors would put it to a destination. So something like a sync connector for S3, AWS S3, right? So there are several open source connectors. There are HashedIn has built a lot of them for our customers. Obviously, we've got about 70 plus Kafka connectors that we've built. And so what that means is in an enterprise setting, when you are in a project, you typically need to bring data from, say, internal application or maybe a database. And so Kafka Connect, um, as a where HashedIn comes in is we support you in building these connectors. It could be either leveraging an open source connector or building a custom connector for you, and then managing this entire Kafka Connect ecosystem. So today, while Kafka Connect is compatible with MSK, you still need to maintain that and manage that on your own on EC2. And we have a framework for sort of managing that in a auto scaling environment with spot instances, so that your costs also goes down. So that's one of the areas that we help our customers. We also help our customers in sort of migrating into MSK. So if you've got data on premise on a Kafka cluster and would like assistance in sort of moving that to the cloud, that's where we partner with AWS in bringing this data onto MSK. So I'll keep it short, and but essentially, you can reach out to us for any kind of assistance in Kafka on top of MSK, including connectors, or even if there's a performance issue that you would like us to, or at least have a conversation with us. Happy to sort of bring that, take that forward. Um, I'd like to talk a little bit about a particular case study, a customer that we've been working with. In This customer is Aruba. Aruba is an HP Enterprises company, and they specialize in building network equipment. So think like um, routers, network equipment. Um, so this is a team that we're working with Aruba, which is responsible for managing the networks at a customer location. And these are big enterprise customers, multi-location, multiple cities, countries, and Aruba team is responsible for making sure that the network uptime is working as expected. And so the solution that we help them build is capturing data from all of this networking equipment all across their data centers and bringing it to the cloud to analyze and to detect in advance when a particular equipment is predicted to start having failures, or if you see certain log patterns coming out of equipment, then you sort of know that there's a problem, and you can sort of preempt it and start investigating. So this entire solution requires agents that are deployed on premise, which are ingesting data to the cloud on to MSK. So what HashedIn has helped them is build these agents, build the connectivity layer for these agents to talk to something um, uh, on the cloud, which then sort of inserts into MSK, and then builds the analytics pipeline from there. So this is a work that we've been doing with Aruba for quite some time, and uh, just to give some sense of it, it's a fairly reliable, scalable, and cost-effective solution thanks to MSK. Being able to analyze a huge volume of logs and network events is made possible by MSK without having, without our teams to have to manage. We don't have to manage the infrastructure layer, so it's all managed, by MSK. Uh, the net result of it is Aruba gets to deliver a network as a service platform to its customers, where they are completely managing their network in an automated manner, and the uh, you know MSK is a core of that of that entire infrastructure, of that entire platform. So that's a quick case study that that we've done with Aruba. We obviously have other customers where we've built several kinds of connectors and help them migrate to the cloud, migrate to MSK on the cloud. Um, but I'll just pause here, and happy to take any questions, or if there's anything, then we could start having a conversation.
Shri, so we have a question. This is from Bilgin. I hope I got the name correct. So this question is on our capabilities specific. So are the 70 plus connectors open source?
So, so several of these connectors are open source. Several of them are. So one little thing, we are also a partner with another company, and as part of that, we build these connectors. Not all of them are open source, but some of them are open source, and you can find them on GitHub.
So we have Parminder.
Yes, can you
Hi.
hear me?
Yes,
Yes,
we
go
can.
ahead.
Hi, I had a question regarding, have you had any past customer or a client where they have shifted from the RabbitMQ cluster to Kafka MSK clusters?
Yes, we do have a customer that, but not to MSK in general, but they did migrate to Kafka. So if there's a more specific question, and it's a I'm not allowed to take the name of the customer, but it is a customer that is in the food and logistics space. They were using RabbitMQ for managing a lot of their background and on-demand jobs. And at some point of time, they moved to a self-hosted Kafka cluster. Unfortunately, not the Amazon MSK. But if there's a more specific question, I'm happy to answer that.
Yeah, and I was just more interested in, we do operate a number of our IoT devices where we ingest a lot of data coming in from those devices to RabbitMQ clusters in the Amazon cloud.
Okay.
We're just kind of exploring the option that what are the advantages which MSK can bring in comparison to the existing RabbitMQ cluster, and what will it take basically at the edge location. You will have to have some kind of a client running. Right now we have a RabbitMQ client which connects to the RabbitMQ cluster
Right.
in the cloud.
So, Ajit, do you want me to answer that? Or maybe I'll just answer it, and Ajit, if you want to add on to that. So, the first thing is essentially, the protocol that you're following from your client to the cloud. So, with RabbitMQ has support for MQTT. I'm not sure if you're using that, but on the AWS, you could replace that with AWS IoT solutions. And the IoT, so what that would do is it will give you a robust way to connect your edge devices to AWS itself. And then from the IoT ecosystem, you can connect to Kafka MSK. So this entire solution would be managed completely. And Kafka MSK as a backbone for then processing the messages. That's the structure that you would then follow. Um, so
Yeah, I think just to wrap it up, we did evaluate the IoT service, but that was kind of a cost prohibitive at that point. And I was kind of more inclined towards the open source solution, which we, with the existing RabbitMQ. So we don't need to spend a lot of money to revamp and
sure.
still leverage, the MSK in the cloud.
So the
But it,
only so if you're not interested in the IoT solution, what you have to realize is that MSK would not be public to the internet. So you would need a layer which talks from the edge, which would have to talk to a service on the cloud. Now, there's depending on the protocol that you choose, you could choose HTTPS, MQTT, or a variety of different protocols. You will need an adapter sitting between uh, between your MSK and your devices. So it could be it could be a custom service that you write. It could be an MQTT adapter that you install, and then that would have to insert into MSK. Uh, so what that once it's so the advantages of this solution is the scalability, and MSK itself would integrate with a lot of other data platforms. So depending on what you're doing with the data, it opens up a lot of more possibilities that were not possible with RabbitMQ. So that's the general sense, but you would need something sitting between MSK and your devices to adapt the protocol and insert it into MSK.
Got it. Yeah, I think currently we are using MQTT, and that's the kind of another advantage is that even if there are network disruptions, we can still have the data queued up and then process it once that disruption is resolved. Thank you.
Yeah, just to add to that, Parminder, we do see a lot of our customers migrate from RabbitMQ to MSK. There are advantages of moving to MSK. AWS IoT Core, IoT Analytics is one. I know you did talk about it being cost prohibitive when you evaluated it earlier. There are a lot of newer features that were announced during this reInvent. So you can take a look at it again, and then when you move to MSK, there are additional advantages around the AWS API native rich integrations that you get with MSK and the other services. For example, let's say you get the data onto MSK, or you produce the data onto MSK using MQTT brokers, and then you want to process the data using KDF or Flink. That opens up a very comprehensive stream processing platform that we offer as a managed service along with Kafka. You can also use Lambda, that integrations with another bunch of AWS services. That really opens, once you get the data onto the cloud or within MSK, it opens up a whole lot of possibilities on how you would want to process that data in real time, and also push that data onto persistent layers, like if you have a data lake on S3, or if you have your data warehousing environment in Redshift. So it does open up a lot of additional services that you can leverage within AWS.
Got it. Thank you.
I do want to talk about quickly on some good getting started content that we have for MSK. If you visit the AWS MSK homepage on our website, there's a getting started resources page. It has a MSK training that you can check, and you can get up and running with MSK really fairly quickly. We do have some hands-on labs as well. So as and when we are releasing features, there are hands-on labs that are being released. They are publicly available. So take a look at those. We have some really good labs on how you can configure your MSK to use ACM, or how you can use TLS-based authentication. We recently released a lab on using GSR, Glue Schema Registry. So we do have a bunch of labs that gives you that hands-on experience. Our recommended approach for migration right now is using MirrorMaker 2.0. We do have a very comprehensive lab, again, that can help you get quickly started with your migrations. The lab does talk, it's MirrorMaker 2.0 piece lab, so it does give you some of those common pitfalls that our customers face when they try to do it on their own. So look at the lab. It will help you, quickly get set up with MirrorMaker 2.0 and get your migration underway. There are additional features that we have within MSK, that the labs cover, and it will help you understand those in terms of how you would want to configure, how do you spin up a 2AZ, 3AZ cluster. So a bunch of things that we've covered in those labs. They're publicly available on the links are publicly available on our MSK homepage on our website.
All right. Thank you so much, Ajit and Ayush. Yeah.
Thanks, Sripathi, thanks, Ajit, and thanks everyone for joining. We hope you found the session informative. If you have any further questions, please feel free to drop a note to us.